hustlers, road players, tournament champions. Hear the stories, get their advice, learn about their lives. Our host, Joey Ryan, brings you an inside look at the professional pool player. You're listening to the Pool Player Podcast, brought to you by Pool Scene 365.
Hey guys, Joey Ryan, Pool Player Podcast. Thanks so much for your support for the podcast. I really appreciate it. And speaking of which, I have two new patrons that I want to give a shout out to and thank them for their support. Dag Torb Jorkson is one who's now a patron and contributing through Patreon, and Jeremy Hart. Thank you guys both so much. What that allows is for me to then take that money and reinvest it in the podcast with new equipment, software, things to get better training, etc. Because I'm constantly trying to give you guys the best that I can. Now, I had promised you guys that once I got up to 2,500 subscribers, I would raffle off a Cuetec Propel Jump Cue, and I fully intend to do that. However, I thought I could just download my YouTube subscribers, do a random draw, and pick a winner. Well, you can't download all your subscribers. No way to do it. So the best way to do it is actually through the comments in a video. So not this video, but later today or tomorrow, I'm going to release a video with a professional player, and I'm going to have you guys comment on that video. So you have to make sure that you like it, make sure that you're subscribed already, and comment on that video. And I'm going to let that run for about a week, and then I'm going to randomly pick a comment from that video, and that person will win the Propel Jump Cue. And I'll try to go live and kind of show you that as well. Also, don't forget, live show starting this Tuesday with my buddy Mark White over in the UK. It's called The Booth Brothers, and we're going to be bringing to you all kinds of humor and fun stuff from the world of pool, so make sure to check that out. Finally, today's episode, I need to apologize to the guests on this episode. These guys were great in meeting with me. I was not great in getting their episode out in a timely manner, so I do apologize. I just got busy, and as you guys know, I prioritize the pro interviews over the industry edition. That said, the three guys I had with me on this interview are excellent. We have Craig Lucas, the owner of Snookered in Frisco, Texas. We have Doc Reyes, who runs the Dallas-Fort Worth 9-Ball Tour. I think that's sponsored by Cuetec. And Isaac Wooten, who created the software at digitalpool.com. And so you get an interesting perspective where you see the developer, the room owner, and the tour director, and how all that plays together. And this also includes a product demonstration of digitalpool.com. So if you're a tournament director out there, if you run leagues, if you're into live streaming, they got future plans for that, you're going to want to check out this episode. So without further ado, here's the three guys from Frisco, Texas. Hey guys from Digital Pool, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for joining. And, you know, I'm so interested to find out more about digitalpool.com. And so Isaac, Craig, and Doc, thanks so much. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Let people know kind of what your background is with pool, and just have at it.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. My name is Isaac. I'm a software developer. I work at Google during the day, but by nighttime, I enjoy playing pool and building tools to make pool better. So that's pretty much been my focus the last couple of years, is like taking what I know from playing the game and like running leagues and teams and being part of tournaments, and like taking what I know from the software world and applying it and trying to figure out, you know, how can we solve a lot of the problems that currently exists with like running tournaments, running leagues, connecting players, streaming matches, playing matches. So pretty much anything and everything related to pool, I'm trying to figure out how to make it better.
Yeah. My background, I guess like most people know me from working at OBQs. I worked for them for 12 years. Was real good friends with Reyes. Also have a memorial tournament for him every year. Also run the PCA Pool Leagues, Dallas 8-Ball League here in North Dallas or North Texas. And then also the tournament director of the DFW 9-Ball Tour. That's my role as part of part of the committee that runs the tour. So, but
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard good things about that tour, by the way.
thanks. Yeah, we got a big group that gets together that helps out. There's like 9 of us that do it. It's 3 guys, 3, 4 guys that really kind of head up the committee, and then we have sub committee members to kind of help out at the events and stuff and kind of coordinate, organizing the whole thing. So
Awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
how about you, Craig?
Yeah, so I've been around pool for about probably 10 or 15 years now. I was actually got into it because of my wife. We met at a pool hall. Well, I saw her at a pool hall, and that got me going back to the pool hall a lot more often. And we reconnected after probably 10 years of not seeing each other. And she got me into leagues, and that I kind of have a kind of an addictive personality. So I was into golf. I was into I'm also a software developer. I own a software company, and so I've just been in competitive things, my whole life. And so when she got me into pool, I started watching YouTube videos on, how to shoot better, play pattern play, things like that. I've watched all those videos on YouTube, and, both of us our games have increased since meeting each other. And so we were kind of just a great pair. And eventually we moved to Texas, and found that the place that we played pool at, it was kind of far, and we felt like there was a need for a better pool hall in the area that we lived at. And there really wasn't a pool hall anywhere in Frisco, and Frisco is kind of one of the fastest growing cities in the country, actually, and there's no pool hall here. So we thought, what better than for us to start a pool hall and build a place to run leagues and tournaments out of. So that's kind of how we got started in pool here. We opened about almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah, tell us the name of the place and,
Yeah, so it's called Snookered Billiards and Bar. We've got 12 7-foot diamond tables, all brand new, 2 9-foot diamond tables, pretty much brand new. We've got about 7,500 square feet here. We're also like a craft bar and kitchen, so all of our food is from scratch. So one of our design elements was we didn't want just your standard pool hall food. We wanted some craft food that you can't get anywhere else. And so our kitchen's been a scratch kitchen from when we opened. We have bartending staff that specialize in high-end cocktails and mixed drinks and things. So that's pretty much what we are.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting that you got a wife that brought you to pool, and a lot of people, their wives take them away from pool. Well, at least that's been my experience. But no, I've heard some really good things about your room. In fact, I want to say that between the Shane and Dennis match and the Texas Open, that a lot of the players stopped into your room on the way down there, and they had good things to say about it.
Yeah, that was a kind of a perfect storm of events that happened at that time, because it was leading up to the Moscone Cup. It was, there was the Texas Open, there was that Shane match, there was a lot of pool action going on that time of year, and it all worked out in a way where the entire Moscone Cup team was here on a night that were normally closed. So we held a private event where it was kind of invite only, and we had the entire team here. We had kind of an exhibition match, doubles match between Sky and Billy and JP Kinman and Jeff Franklin. So they played a race to 24 or something, but we had Shane here, Chris Robinson, Sky and Billy, and Jeremy Jones showed up. I think the only player we were missing was Bergman, and he ended up not traveling with the team. But
yeah, it was a great time, and great exposure for us, and it was awesome to have all the players here and interact with some of the best players in the world.
Do you have any Facebook pages or anything like that where people can connect with your room? I know I travel to the area quite a bit. My day job, I actually sell software, guys. So maybe we can partner one day. But I travel to Texas is in my territory. So I travel to the area quite a bit. And I actually spent some time in Frisco. And so how do folks get connected with you over there, Craig?
Really just our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/snookeredbilliards and our website, snookeredbilliards.com. But you can look us up on Google Maps. Any one of those places will direct you to our venue.
So let's talk about digitalpool.com. I've seen it. I've taken a peek at it. It looks super clean. And I think it's going to be something really cool for pools. So Isaac, why don't you tell us what it's all about, kind of where it came from, where you guys thought it up? Was it written on a napkin? What was it?
Yeah, good question. I mean, it's really kind of an idea that started maybe about 10 years ago, playing in leagues and running teams and stuff. Like my biggest sort of gripe with playing in leagues was like scoring and paper score sheets, and no one wanted to keep score, and it was always a pain to teach people how to keep score. And so I was just determined to like solve that problem. So I think an earlier version of this was basically an app that pretty much let you like score an entire APA 9-ball match with all the innings and each ball counted and safeties and all the things, and it would actually generate the APA score sheet like
Oh, really? That's awesome.
I pitched it to the owners of the APA, and at the time they were like, well, this is like way too far ahead. Like we're not even there yet. We don't even have phones. Most of our people don't use smartphones. This was 10 years ago, like 2010. And so I was like, okay, I guess it's just too ahead of its time. So I kind of shelved it, but that got me thinking like, well, maybe there's some other things that I could explore. And that got me thinking like, there's a bunch of audiences in the pool world that are all deeply connected. There's the players, there's the tournament directors, there's the pool room owners, there's the business owners, operators, and they all have problems with, what they're trying to do related to pool. So I was like, as a software developer, I'm always thinking like, how can I solve those problems using technology, right? So that's kind of where the idea for this was born, was being able to like, leverage technology, whatever that is, to make those people's lives easier and also connect them. So that's pretty much what Digital Pooled is it's basically like kind of like a social network with some software built in. So everybody can like join the same platform and then play in tournaments, find tournaments, create leagues, create tournaments, and connect with each other and just have like one account. And I guess the goal would be to get, a bunch of people like creating leagues, joining leagues, creating tournaments, live streaming through it. And there's just one place that they have to go, and they could use whatever other platforms like Facebook or YouTube or whatever. We're not trying to like replace all that. It's mainly just like, how can we centralize it? So as more people add things to it, it just gets better and better. And we pretty much decided to start with the tournament management portion, because it's really hard to like run any kind of a tournament, let alone like big tournaments. And so that was kind of the first goal, was how can we really like automate that? And my goal is like to help Doc pretty much just be able to sit back and watch the tournament run itself, and then be there to like answer questions or solve like a rule dispute. But my goal would be like, let him play in the tournament that he's running. And if there's an issue, like maybe then you'd have to step away and take care of it, but not have to be sitting behind a desk for 16 hours a day and having players come up saying, when is my next match? And here's my score. And, there's a lot of work involved, and it's not just Doc. I mean, he's got a bunch of other people helping him too. And then, for Craig, some of the goals would be like, as a room owner, how can I make the tournament run more efficiently so he can open up tables for his customers much sooner? And then he has, TVs and cameras mounted around the room. So why can't we show like digital scoreboards of all the tables and like live scoring as all the matches are going on, and show like the brackets, and so people can like always kind of know like who's playing, and make it more of like a spectator sport, versus people just sitting around like waiting for their name to be called, and they can't play on a table and they're bored. And so I mean, like the instant mess or not instant text messaging was one of the early features that we wanted to incorporate into the app. So if people just give us their phone number, we can notify them when they're about to play and on what table and who and what their match race is going to be. And so that just like speeds everything up. And then if people want to go across the street or they want to go eat or whatever, they can do that and not have to worry about like being, you know, knocked out of the tournament or forfeited because they weren't there when their name was called.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. And I can already think of a handful of tournament directors I wish had this because, you know, I'm sitting there and it's getting to be midnight and there's 5 open tables and they're not calling matches because they're outside smoking or whatever. And I'm like, we got to run this thing, man. Let's go. Let's go. And so that's the first thing that comes to mind. The second thing, from running a few tournaments myself, I can tell you that probably the hardest thing in the world to do is win a tournament that you're running, because like you said, people are constantly coming to you with complaints or this, or when do I play, or what's going on, or tell me this. And what does third place pay? You know, so there's all these questions. And so you have to maintain your focus to play while at the same time fielding all these questions coming in. And so I think that sounds pretty cool. And yeah, Doc, you could probably give some insight onto that one, right?
Sure. I mean, it's so great working with Isaac. I mean, we used to have another software we were using before, and you know, there was some questions I had and wanted to, you know, see how to fix this or do this, and just no response. Or and so with Isaac, it's just like I message him, say, hey, what can we do? Can we do this? Or I come up with an idea, and you know, he's right on it and gets it going really quickly. So certainly we've come a long way since the first event we did, and it's just because he's so easy to work with and really open-minded about any ideas. And he spent some time with me at the desk and actually saw, you know, what kind of questions I'm having to field, and what can we do in the software to kind of help with those, and just kind of, you know, minimize those to where just a few of those questions, you know, just, you know, simple things like how long am I mat until my next match, you know, how many people are left in the tournament, which, you know, there's all these questions. If I had a nickel for, you know, every time I've got it, and it's just like, and some are just so vague, and it's like, well, it's kind of hard to say, and he's actually found ways to kind of answer those questions, you know, quickly, you know, at a click of a button, and say, okay, yeah, this is, you know, answers to your question. You know, this is how many people are left. This is, you know, the estimated time that, you know, would be coming up, and things like that. So it's just really, really great, you know, working with them and having somebody right in your backyard to kind of help develop this and really make it a good experience for the tournament directors, the players, homerooms, and everybody. It's really, really going to be neat.
So Doc, you're using this right now for your tournaments, correct?
Yes, yeah.
And so what's the impact been for you? Is it, you know, like, are you finding that you have more free time during the tournament or more time to focus on more important things?
Yeah, I mean, there was, with the other softwares, in just one example is the like table assignments and things like that. Like you're talking about, we have all these tables available. Well, this software makes it easy where you know what's available and what's not available. It's a drop-down menu. You just say, okay, these are the tables going. Because a lot of times with the other ones, you don't know. Especially if you're on the other side of the room, you can't see what's going on. You know what's table is not being used.
Yeah.
It's all right there in the software in front of you in the screen, and that has been a huge thing, because before I was having to have a spreadsheet, put these matches in the spreadsheet. When I had a deal, I had, you know, a table come up, I'd delete the table, and then put it back in. It was just, there was no way I had time. I had barely any time to announce the matches, let alone try to walk away from the desk and get a bathroom break sometimes. It was just,
Yeah, or go to call a hit, and then by the time you get back, you're already so far behind, you're digging out. If I had a nickel for every time that I got called to a table for my match, and I get there, and there's somebody already playing, and they're like, "We just started," and so that kind of speaks to, I think, one of the problems that this solves for you guys.
absolutely, yeah, it makes it very, very convenient, nice. It really speeds the tournament up because like you said, you don't have tables just sitting there. Oh, well, because when a table comes up, it actually pops up on the screen and says, "Hey, this match is available. The table's available." You hit the button and assign it. If it's two tables, you hit the one button and it assigns both the tables, and sends out a text message to the players and gets them going. Or whatever, before you even have to make an announcement.
So Doc, I'm sure you're probably pretty proficient with technology, but I know there's a lot of tournament directors out there that are maybe new to it. Maybe they're still doing handwritten brackets. Talk to us about the user friendliness. Is it pretty easy to learn?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of as far as even like signups and things like that. You can do all your signups in the spreadsheet. Mark everybody paid off, and then all you got to do is import that into the software, and it makes it so much easier. Adding, removing players, and it's way easier than the paper thing. I keep on trying to get some of these folks to see the light and say, hey, there's a way better way to do it and keep up with, who paid, entering Fargos, and it's just really, really convenient.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear from Craig about the impact that it's had for his room.
Yeah, absolutely. The last few tournaments we've run here, that the Doc has run here, have gone extremely well. We couldn't ask for a better experience now, and they've gotten progressively better because the software helps run these tournaments so much faster. So from a bar owner experience, these tournaments have anywhere from, because of COVID, we've limited some of the events to the number of players, but they can go up to 128 players. But for COVID, they've been around 64 to 75 players. They started about 10 o'clock in the morning, and the first day is able to finish by about 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. And then they play down to 16 players, and then they come back the next day and do the final 16. And so that's huge for us because, these things run on a Saturday night, and our biggest night sales wise is, Friday and Saturday night. And if we have to close down the bar for all of Saturday, all through 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, just for tournament players, we end up losing money because you're really just left with hardcore pool players playing in matches until 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're having to turn away customers that are coming in for date nights and parties and large parties and stuff that are looking to spend a lot of money. And so turning those players away is hard as a bar owner, or turning those customers away as a bar owner is hard, because you're like, man, I know those people were coming in to spend a bunch of money, and now they may not, I don't know if they're going to come back or not. But now that we can get these tournaments over with by 7 o'clock on Saturday, that allows that second wave of date night crowds and higher end customers that are just looking to have a good time on a Saturday night and spend a bunch of money, with drinks and food. So we're able to capture both markets at the same time, and I think that would be huge for any pool venue that's running tournaments, is having the confidence that, I don't know if it's been mentioned yet, that the software predicts how long the entire tournament will take. And so we're constantly running estimates on, like, this Michael Montgomery Memorial. How long will a 16-player event where they're racing to 9 and they're playing 10 ball and you have 8 tables available, how long will that take? The software runs projections on how long that will take, and we found it to be actually really accurate, and to the point where other tournaments have run, and I've run projections on it, and then I contact the tournament director and say, how long did your tournament take to run? And then I compare it to what I what I projected in the software for it to run, and it's been almost dead on. Like within an hour, if the tournament ran for 16 hours, the projection was like 15 or 16 or 17 hours, somewhere in that window. And so that's another huge benefit as well, to be able to project how long the tournament's going to take in advance, so we can plan staffing for that, knowing that the tournament's going to run until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, so we can start cutting staff once it's over, or we can plan to bring in more staff for the overlap between regular customers and tournament customers. So I mean, the benefits have been huge, and honestly, I can't think it could run any better unless the software could run it with the tournament itself. That is possible. And I would love to get there. I would love to run Monday through Wednesday or Monday through Friday, tournaments here, and not even have to have a tournament director on site, where we just create the tournament as the venue, and it just runs itself. People can use their phone to sign up for it, and it really just runs itself. And the only reason you need somebody on site is for rule disputes and watch a shot or something like that. But I think that's coming. So it's more of, are the players ready for it?
Yeah, I think that time estimate thing is huge, because I know players will complain if the tournament goes on till 2 a.m, but what they'll complain more about is getting called in at 9 a.m. the next day to come and start a match. And then the tournament ends at 7 p.m. And they're like, why the heck did I have to wait? I'm a pool player. I don't get out of bed till 11 a.m., And so the fact that you can plan that out and know, hey, look, my customers are coming in at 8 o'clock. I want this tournament on Saturday to be wrapped up by 8 o'clock. So I need to bring them in at 10:30. We're going to start the matches. I mean, to me, that's huge. And I love the order and organization to that, to where you can use that to predict. I think that's great. So we've talked a lot about it, and folks haven't really seen it. So why don't we go into a demonstration of it, and we'll go ahead and share a screen here, and Isaac will take us through how it actually works, and then we'll talk about that.
Yeah, thanks, Joey. So this is the digitalpool.com homepage. It's free to use. We don't really charge anything. We're still trying to work out all the bugs. It's a work in progress. So, if anybody has ideas or thoughts and wants to help or contribute, I'm all ears. So anyways, you sign up, create an account, really easy. This is sort of your homepage that we're kind of working on, but the part that we're all talking about that I want to focus on is the tournaments. So there is a public tournament page that shows all the tournaments that we've been running over the past year, and you can pretty much dive into any one of them and see the overview of the tournament. These are all completed tournaments, so you can see all the standings, exactly how many players there were, the stats. You can also look at the brackets. I mean, this is an example of a completed one, but I'll take you through a new one. So you can see this one had, quite a few players.
The thing when I saw this that I was most impressed with are just how clean these brackets are. There's a lot of other software that I've seen out there where it's just not as appealing to the eye. And I think you guys did a great job of capturing that here.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, that was all due to the feedback from Craig and Doc. We're working together to figure out, what is the minimum amount of information that we need to show on the bracket. I mean, we even have stuff like switching to the last 16, so you don't have to scroll through the entire bracket. We're working on things like collapsing the bye rounds, and so trying to really reduce the bracket as much as we can, so you don't have to, scroll through the whole thing. There's a way to search for players. If the tournament's actually running, you can search for any player name. It'll scroll right to the player. So yeah, the bracket is definitely a key feature for making this whole thing efficient. So,
and so before you go on, Isaac, if I'm a tournament director today, I can get access to this for free and start using this tonight.
Yeah, you can. It's free for anyone to sign up. I mean, it's a work in progress. I'm not charging anything. Even the text messaging is free. So I would encourage people to go in there, try it. If you run into bugs or issues, please reach out to me. I'm pretty responsive in fixing those things. And I really just want to make this as good as I can for just about everyone. I know there's other tournament software out there. Some of them are free, some of them charge money. You know, I'm happy if people use those. I'm not trying to tell everybody to use this, but I think we have a pretty big vision, and the tournament piece is just a part of that vision. So I would love it to have other people try it out and give feedback and work together to help make tournaments run more efficiently. So kind of moving on, there's a couple other different views. There's like a schedule view. In this one, you can pretty much see the order of all the matches that have been completed. I'll show you kind of a different view of it when you're actually running the tournament. This is a completed tournament. Same with the matches. If you want to see like by round exactly like what the order of the matches was, what table they were on, who played, what their score was, you can go all the way down to like the final matches. Then there's the live scoring, which in here, there's no tables in use because the tournament's completed, but I'll show you that in a second. And then there's all the statistics. So that's like a pretty key feature. People want to know, you know, what was my record? How many games did I win and lose? Like, how did I stack up? So you can basically see all the statistics, and you can sort by match records and win-loss ratio, and you can even add like points and stuff. The DFW 9-ball tour has a point system, so we've built in the ability to support points. If you'd like to assign those, like based on the place a player gets, they'll be assigned a number of points. So that's pretty much it for the like public view. If you want to actually build a tournament, then you would go to the tournament builder, and you can basically just create a new tournament, give it a new name, and then fill in a couple fields, choose, you know, the dates. We have venues in here, and you can add other venues. So we're hoping to build like a huge library of basically pool rooms and bars and places where the tournaments happen. So we can choose Frisco or Snookered in Frisco because it's already in here. There's different types of tournaments, obviously, so you can choose whichever one you want. Right now, we support double elimination tournaments since that's pretty much the hardest ones to run. But we're working on like single elimination, round robin, multi-stage. There's a bunch of different formats. Choose what game you're playing. You can pick your races on like the winner side and the loser side. And then you would want to pick your bracket size. And I'll just pick 32 to show you that it's smart enough to like change that. If the amount of players that sign up happens to be less, it can auto adjust itself.
Nice.
And then there's some advanced settings in here. Like we support Fargo ratings. We're working with Mike Page and Steve Ernst from Fargo Rate. So they're basically importing all the scores from every tournament into Fargo Rate system. So every player that plays in a tournament that uses our software can benefit from having their ratings updated. And then you can put other things like the break format, the rules being used, if there's an entry fee, any kind of added money. So there's some other extra fields that you don't have to fill out, but you can if you want. And then the text messaging. So you'd want to say yes to that. It's disabled by default because it does cost me some money right now. But if you want to enable that, you just have to get people's phone numbers, and then it'll send them a message when their table's been assigned. And then you can make it public or private. If you don't want people to see it in that other tournament view that I showed you, you can just mark it as private. We'll go ahead and make it public for this demonstration.
Isaac, does it calculate or give you some samples of the payouts, or is that separate right now?
The payouts you can control separately. So I can show you how that works. But by default, like you would just put in the entry fee, and then you would be able to go in and manually put in like how much the first place person gets and the second place person gets all the way down.
Gotcha.
So I'll show you how that works. And then as far as adding players, this is where we've done a lot of work to make this efficient. So we've got a couple like sample spreadsheets for the different size of tournaments, and you can basically just click on those to download it. And then Doc will make edits to that spreadsheet, for example, and it'll work in Excel or Google Sheets, pretty much anything that can open like a CSV file. And so then you can just basically select the spreadsheet, click import, and then bam, like now all the players are imported from the spreadsheet, and they have, whatever information you put in there, phone numbers, emails, their skill level, if you have like a handicap system, what race they need to go to, pretty much all the data you would need to actually start the tournament. And so then you can just go in and preview the bracket and make sure that it looks good. And it does a random seeding. So it just doesn't have any particular order. It just kind of picks at random and assigns people. And it'll show you kind of, here's exactly what the bracket will look like.
So
and then,
let me stop you real quick. When you go from the previous step of the spreadsheet to this step right here with the bracket, what you're saying is at that point, it basically does the random draw for you.
It does, yeah.
So any question, because I know that's a big complaint about tournaments, right? Is, the draw, is it a truly random draw, or I'm just curious. At that point, once you hit that spreadsheet, hit that button, and it creates this preview of the bracket, that's your random draw right there, correct?
Yeah, this is the random draw. I mean, there is a way in the software to say like, make it draw according to the player order that you have in the spreadsheet. If you want it to be seeded like a certain way or based on the order that you put in.
Okay.
But by default, we just randomize it and use an algorithm to make sure that it's as random as we could possibly make it. And then this is what you see here.
Gotcha. I like it.
So if you're happy with that, then you basically go to the step where you add your tables. And in here, we've made it so you can add, tables one at a time. You can add a bunch of tables all at once. If you just have like numbers of the tables, and you can select the manufacturer and the size, or you can import them from a venue. So Snookered already has 14 tables in the venue. So we just make that easy to import all those. So now I've got my tables imported that are available to use. And then I can basically go to the review screen. And this is where some of the time projection stuff that we talked about comes in. So you can review all of your settings for the tournament, make sure everything looks good. And then over here, you can see like, okay, there's 16 players that have signed up for the tournament, or they're going to be confirmed for this tournament, and show you the bracket size, like how many rounds it's going to take, how many total matches there's going to be. If there's any buys, in this case, there's no buys. So basically some statistics about the tournament itself that are helpful. And then down here, it'll show you like the average time per game. That's more of a manual calculation right now, but we're working on automating that based on past data. And then you can estimate the time for the winner side matches to complete, and then the loser side matches to complete. And then the total tournament. So in this case, we're thinking it's going to be around 1.8 days for one table. But if you have like 14 tables, then it'll be about 3 hours. So get a bunch of different projections in here based on like however many tables you have at your venue. And we use that to try to estimate, okay, how many tables do we really need to use? And maybe we'll use all of them for the first 2 rounds, and then we'll reduce it down to half, like the 3rd round. So these projections do come in handy when you're trying to plan out the tournament.
Nice.
And when you're happy with that, you basically go to the bracket. So then this is sort of the interface to actually run the tournament. And it hasn't started yet, so you actually have to like click the start tournament button. This will start the clock, and then you'll see over here that it's basically given me a bunch of matches that are on deck, so to speak. And when I want to actually start assigning those, I can just click this button. And then now all these matches have been assigned to the open tables. And it'll send out text messages to those players to go to that table. And then to score, it's pretty easy. You can just click on a match and either enter the score, or you can use this little up-down arrow, and most players will come up and like report the score, but we're working on a way for them to be able to score their own matches using a mobile app that we're developing. So they'll be able to actually update like per game what their score is. And then when it's done, it'll just validate the match is completed, and then it'll auto advance them in the bracket. But for now, Doc will take in their score when they're done. They can hit save, and then basically it advances them when the match is completed, and it moves the loser down to the lower bracket. And that's pretty much how the scoring works.
Can I ask a couple questions here, Isaac?
Yeah, sure.
So when you release the tables for the matches, is there a way that you can ensure that one match of your choice, let's say, makes it to the featured table? Because I know that's something that tournament directors will do. They'll look at the lineup of matches coming up and they'll say, oh, Shane and Corey would be a good one to have on table number one. Can you make sure that that match goes to table number one, or is it all completely random?
Yeah, no, you can choose. Like you have the table assignments here. So I've got a few open tables that are available to me, and I can pick any one of those tables and assign it anytime. Even if a match has already been assigned, I can update. I can just change the assignment. I can just quickly like remove the table assignment and go in and assign it to a different open table.
And if they're getting the text updates, it would just send them a new text updating their table.
Yeah, it'll send them a new text like, your match is now on table 5 against whoever, and then you would make your way over to that table. As the director, you can also go into this view and like make tables open or closed. If you don't want them to be used at all, like later on in the tournament, you can shut them down. So the system knows like, okay, there's not 14 tables anymore. There's only 9 or something like that. You can also make a table the streaming table. So you can mark it as streaming. You can put in a URL for like YouTube or Facebook if you have an actual like live stream that's happening for like a feature table. And then when you do that, it turns red, and now those tables are available to assign matches for the live stream. So it'll say in here like table
Nice.
1 is a live streaming table. I can update this match. Now it shows up in red, and it has a little live stream button. And I guess a cool feature is like I'll update this score real quick. The scoring is all real time as well. So if people are looking at this on their other laptop or their phone and the score is updated, it'll automatically update without refreshing. So that's kind of nice. And then for the streamers out there who are streaming the tournament and they have like a feature match, they can actually use our overlay. If you're using like the OBS software, you can basically just paste in the URL to this overlay into OBS and make it as a new layer. And then your scoring is all done basically. Like all you have to do is go in and basically update the score in the bracket and then hit save, and then it automatically updates in the scoring overlay. And this background's transparent. So this is where like your table and sponsors, wherever the video itself would go. So we've made that pretty easy, and we have a lot more planned for this too.
Nice. I like that a lot. In fact, if I get a match going and I want to stream that match, I can just use your scoreboard rather than having to design my own or something like that with my OBS software.
Yeah, exactly. And eventually I'd like to have, multiple templates, and you can kind of pick and choose which one you like better, and make it a little, maybe there's like a scoreboard designer eventually. I don't know. But for now, we just have one, and it works pretty well. So we'll keep improving on that. I mean, there's some other stuff in here. You can see like how many players are left in the tournament. So that was kind of going back to Doc's point earlier about one of the big questions we get is, how many people are left? Where am I at? And so this kind of tells you as the tournament's going, people get eliminated, it'll show you like what place they got. So there's some neat little features that we built in here. I mean, there's even other ways to like look at the bracket if you want to look at more of a traditional bracket that's like this left to right layout. You can totally do that if you want. There's like a zoom and pan. So if you want to like actually zoom in and out, there's a way to do that. And that's probably better on like mobile devices, especially if you have a big like 128 player bracket. So we found that most people like this kind of left to right view and just like scrolling. So that's kind of the default, but you're totally open to change it.
Looks really nice. And so am I to assume that this on a mobile device is simply, formatted for a mobile and not an actual native like iOS app or something like that?
Yeah, so this web view, if you pull it up on a phone, it's basically just the website optimized for a mobile device, and it's responsive. There's still some tweaks we need to do to make it like really nice, but We want the experience to be basically the same. So if Doc needs to like go outside or run somewhere, he doesn't have to like carry his computer with him. He can just pull it up on his phone, score matches all, the same way. And then the players can do the same if they want to see like where they're at in the bracket or who's playing next. They can always pull it up on their phone. But we're working on like an actual native app. So that will be the player app, and they'll, check into the tournament. Maybe they'll use like a QR code scanner to verify that they're there and like present and signed up. And then when they score their matches, they would do that on their device, and it would basically report back into the bracket and auto advance. So at that point, Doc can pretty much sit back and like watch the magic happen and play in the event. Then if there's a question, he can come over and help. But that's sort of the next phase is the player app to really make this automated.
Isaac, I really love that you're thinking way down the road here. And so looking at this now, I think maybe a potential limitation right now, or maybe I'm misunderstanding, but if I'm a tournament director, I pretty much need a computer to initially enter the entries. Is that correct?
I mean, you can do it on a phone if you would like to. You can add players manually, or you can certainly with a smartphone. You can edit a spreadsheet on your phone and import it that way. But I would say the ideal experience is with a laptop, just because you have a lot more screen real estate. It's just easier to run an event that way. But I would say like using the laptop to set it up and get it going is the best way to do it. And then if you need to run the rest of the tournament from your phone, you can totally do that afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. I like it.
And maybe getting back to your questions earlier, like for payouts and stuff. So in here, we have ways to like enter all of your payouts. So you can say like for first place, they get 500, and if they're in the Calcutta and they're 1,500, you can go in and add that, and you can add those to all the places in the tournament. Same with like if you have a point system and you want to assign points to places, you can do that. So it's a little bit of manual work right now, but it gives you full control over like the payouts and exact amounts. And then those will actually show up in the bracket. So once you put these in at the certain part of the bracket where the payouts begin, it'll turn green and you'll be like, oh, this is where the money line starts. And I know if I reach it to that point in the bracket, I'm going to make $500 or whatever. So that's kind of nice. And you can go in here and add venues. You can add like logos and flyers for your tournament. You can control the notifications, other settings. You can see kind of the results. So this is more for the tournament director, like this view. You can see the schedule of like what matches are in progress, which ones are upcoming, which ones have been completed. So we've tried to think about like all the different scenarios a tournament director might encounter and provide a way for them to like look at the data to be able to like run the tournament more efficiently, whatever their method is. You can even export the data as a CSV file if you want to like import into Excel and do whatever you need to after the event. Like we totally give you full control and access to the actual data of the tournament itself if you want to do more with it. Mm-hmm. And that's like one of the things that we've been working on with the DFW tour is it's a tour, right? So there's multiple stops. So this is still kind of a work in progress, but we wanted to at least figure out who was the top dog, like out of the stops that we had last year, the COVID year, there was only 4, but who did the best. And so this view basically takes all the stats from those 4 stops and puts them together. And then that's how we were able to determine Clint Palachi was, the best player overall. And he got the most points using the DFW tour point system. And you can see, exactly how many points he got per event, as well as everyone. There was a lot of people that played, 218 players, even though it was, lockdown for a lot of the time. So
yeah, I noticed number 10 there is an Arizona guy, Gus Brazeno.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's local now too. I think he lives around here.
Yeah, he's travel a little bit more here to Dallas and get in action. He's got a guy that puts him up and puts him in a lot of stuff. So I'm not sure if he's living here, but he stays here like months at a time and he goes back home. But
Yeah.
the purpose, I guess he's living here.
Yeah.
But anyways, that pretty much wraps it up for the tournament builder. I mean, I'll just quickly touch on some of the other stuff to give you an idea, like how this works. I mean, there's a whole league manager tool as well, and you can go in here and create leagues and divisions and basically manage your own league however you want. There's still a lot of work to be done there, but that's another phase of the work. Talking about some of the live streaming stuff. This view doesn't show it, but if I go over here, so kind of one idea is, can I go here and see what matches are happening all around the world, like whoever's playing, whether it's their home table or a big tournament streaming, like all the matches should show up here in this kind of live view, and I should be able to like click on any one of those and see the full screen view with like multiple camera options if that's available, and the chat and the score and stats and who the players are and all that. So I think as far as like taking the live streaming part of it to the next level, this is one aspect that I'm hoping to add to it like sometime this year, and tie that back into the bracket so you could have multiple tables at a venue hooked up to different tables and be able to see the score as well as like the match itself being played live. I think that'd be cool. I know like the World Pool Championships used to have like 8 or 9 tables all with live streaming cameras that you could switch between. I thought that was awesome. So being able to like put all that into an interface that gives whoever's running the event like full control, I think that'd be awesome. And then bring all the players together obviously through the chat, and so there's a lot we have planned for like with live streaming and just bringing players into the fold of what's going on, whether it's a league or a tournament.
Isaac, I think a lot of people are really going to be interested in that part. So I want to take a second and ask a question about how that plays out in reality, at least what your vision is. So I'm a streamer, let's say, and I have a match coming up tonight between 2 guys in Arizona, and I normally put that on Facebook Live or I put it on YouTube, live. How do I go about getting that into this interface eventually? What would the idea be? I just basically sign up and provide a link to here and put in some details about the match, and there you go.
Yeah, you would just sign up, create a free account, create a new match, put in the live stream link wherever you're streaming from, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. And then, because there's like a social networking aspect being built, that would be published to, certain feeds within the app, or if you have a friend following, then it would send them a notification like, hey, Joey just went live for this event, you can go watch it here, and go to the digital pool app, and then they can watch it on our site, or you could go straight to YouTube or Facebook or wherever. So we want to make it like super easy for people to get their live stream out there. And the fact that we're building this kind of social network, once we get enough players in here, because it's pool specific, I don't have all the noise of everything else happening in Facebook and YouTube to distract me. Like I know everything on here is like pool specific. So
Yeah.
I think that's one awesome benefit we can provide is if everybody's using it to publish their matches and tournaments and leagues and all that, then it's great, because now I don't have to kind of ignore all the other things happening in Facebook. I can just go here and know that whatever I'm looking at is pool specific, and I'll have tons of tournaments to look at, tons of live matches to watch, all the league stuff. I should be able to like find local leagues or tournaments. So that's kind of the goal, is just like make this a pool specific sort of platform for everyone to enjoy.
So you work for Google, so you understand about the algorithms, especially with YouTube and Facebook. Would if I stream through this platform, right? So I'm going to YouTube, streaming live through there, but also providing it through this interface as kind of a one-stop shop with all the other streamers. Would I still get credit for the views that come through on a YouTube, or would that be a separate thing?
Oh yeah, you totally get credit for those views. I mean, we're not the streaming provider. Like we just provide a way to give people access to the stream.
Got it.
So it's originated from YouTube or Facebook. So you totally get all the views, and it'll still show up on those areas. And we can even provide a link back to the YouTube original source if they prefer to go watch it on YouTube or wherever. So we're just, bringing it all the content together into one place, basically.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So Isaac, that looks really awesome. Thank you so much for the demonstration. What do you need right now? Like, what could we do to help? What could I do here at Pool Player Podcast? Is it just getting more people using it so you can get more feedback to continue to develop it?
I think that's the stage that we're at right now, especially for the tournament management stuff, because that's the part I've spent the most time on. But in general, any ideas that people have to make pool better for them, I think that's what I'm looking for. But certainly, like tournament directors, room owners, they want to like run tournaments. If they can try it out and give me feedback, that would help a lot to make that part better. And then once I launched the app, like getting people to try that out and use that. So I don't really have like a beta list, but if people want to email contact@digitalpool.com and be like, hey, I saw the podcast, I'm really interested in what you're doing, put my name down or let me know like what you guys are doing. I'd be happy to keep people informed and hear about what other people want to see from it. If there's something that they've had an idea about for a long time, but no one's built it yet, that they think could make pool better, like that's what I want to do. So anything like that would be great.
Awesome. So from here, your plans are to create a native app, correct, for this? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So basically right now what we have is a piece of like web-based software, and it's optimized for a laptop. But certainly you can use it on mobile device. But really the experience is better if it's an actual native app and simplified to the point where the player would be the main benefactor of that. So they can go in and create matches or join tournaments and join leagues and score and submit their matches, see their stats. And then it all gets reported back into the main system. I think from the operator standpoint, using a laptop is probably going to always be the best experience for actually like running some of these big events and leagues, because there's just so many other like moving parts. It's hard to do it all on a phone. But for the player, I think that's where like the native app is perfect, because they have it in their pocket wherever they are, and if they can pull it out and see what tournaments are happening tonight in my area. Okay, cool. I'm going to go join that tournament. Oh, great. It's a digital pool tournament. I can just enter my match and then it's scored, and now I can move on in the bracket, and I know it's submitted to Fargo and all that kind of stuff. That's where I think like the next phase will really unlock a lot of potential.
So Craig, I want to get some of your final thoughts, but tell me about, from an owner's perspective, we just saw the demo. Break it down for us, how this benefits you and your thoughts on it.
Yeah. So, the last year, as he mentioned with COVID, the tour has, it's kind of shrunk a little bit. The size of the events have shrunk a little bit, and the software has helped do a lot of the planning and projections for us to help control, the number of people in the building. And one of my personal goals is, with COVID and social distancing, is how do we keep only the people that are required to be in the building playing pool and that have paid for seats to be in the building, while the other players can feel confident that they can leave the building or go hang out outside, or maybe back in their hotel room, and know that their match is not going to be forfeited, that they are going to get a heads up in advance, and they can look at the bracket and see, my next match is in round 3, and round 3 is projected to start at 1:00. So that, it's 11:00 now. They can go back to their hotel room, take a nap, keep their phone on just in case their match gets called. But so that's one of the goals, is to be able to control the volume of people during COVID that are in the building, and the software is really going to help that. I think it's going to help players, go hang out outside. We have picnic tables set up outside, so there can be a lot of stuff happening outside the building, and only the players that are in matches are in the building, and people that are paid spectators are still in the building. And I think one of the features that excites me, because I'm a data guy, is the match projection time. And you saw in the demo how he's, you know, when you create a tournament, you choose the game type, and the game type kind of trickles down into the projections, because if you know, 8-ball games take longer than 9-ball games, and, you know, different types of tables might play a factor in how long a game takes. And so I think the amount of time that it takes a match is going to only get better and better. The projections for that are going to get better and better, and we can actually start building in smarter projections. In that, if you know, if you're playing a professional tournament, a 9-ball game is going to run a lot faster than if you're playing in a Fargo 400 cap tournament. So I think the software can eventually start learning from the tournament itself and seeing what the average game times are within the tournament. And then the projections can get better and better for when the future rounds are going to start, as well as there are potentially hundreds of tournaments going on around the country using this software all at the same time. You can start to build better and better averages for how long matches take, how long does a 1-pocket match take versus a, you know, 10-ball, 8-ball, etc. So I think those projections are going to get better and better. And then the integration with Fargo, I think, is kind of a big factor with a lot of tournament directors, in that, you know, when you add a player, it's automatically going to pull in their Fargo rating. It's automatically going to assign a race 2 value for that player that's going to carry through the entire tournament. And Doc, as a tournament director, doesn't have to input that, you know, into every match. And then as a pool fan, the streaming, one of the things that we didn't cover was kind of the as a player, if you want to stream your match, if you want to put it out on Facebook, one of my pet peeves is when I watch pool online, I never know what the score is. I never know what they're racing to. I don't know what they're playing for. All of those things can be input into the software and streamed and overlaid onto the video stream automatically by this. So the more people that use this software, the better, the smarter it gets, the better it is for the pool community. And I think it draws more viewers. It's more interesting if I know that these guys are playing for $5,000 and they're racing the 7 and he's getting the 8-ball. He's getting the 8 out. And I think it just makes it more compelling to the viewer. Because I know when I load up a video and I see just 2 players playing, I immediately swipe to the next video or go on to the next one where I know what the actual score is.
Yeah,
so that's kind of the future of the software. It's just going to get better and better and better for the pool community, and it's just going to get smarter. So that's why the feedback from the players is important as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, when I watch somebody playing online and they don't have score or anything, you look in the comments and every other comment is, what's the score? What's going on? What's the game? What are they betting? You know, so I agree. If you have the ability to put that in there, look at all the people right now streaming matches on their phones. That's one thing COVID has done. It's created this huge environment, and not just COVID, the fact that smartphones are so good. I took video at my kid's soccer practice the other night with my new iPhone 12 Pro Max. And I mean, I feel like a movie director. The quality is so good on that thing, you know? And so I can't wait to stream a pool match on my phone. And I'd love to have a scoreboard on there or some way to inform people as to what's going on. Because if not, it's just going to be a constant barrage of questions or people not tuning in. And so I think that's a really important point that you bring up. Curious to hear about just from Doc, his kind of final thoughts on the software and, you know, what he sees the vision for the future and if he's excited about it. You know, what's up, Doc?
Yeah, definitely. It's like you said, we've come up so far in just a year and working with Isaac and Craig. It's just, I'm just excited about how much easier it's going to be for me to kind of actually, because the biggest thing is I wanted to be a part of a big tour, you know, for 15 years now. And I tried, you know, way back before social media, and it was just so much harder to get the word out. But now it's just, we're part of this big group, you know, that's doing the DFW tour. And, you know, the biggest thing is being a part and seeing the players, intermingling with them and interacting with them. And I don't get to do that when I'm stuck behind the desk and I'm going, entering the scores, the whole time. And, so I really don't get to enjoy the part of, hosting an event because I'm just working the whole time. But with the, the self-scoring and the future of the program, it's just going to make it to where I can actually, enjoy, being with the players and seeing them and even reaching out and trying to get feedback from them and seeing what we can do to make it better and a better experience for, just everybody.
Awesome. Well, Isaac, let's close it with you. What are your final thoughts? I mean, first of all, congratulations. It's a excellent solution. And I'm excited. I might even come out there and try to play in a tournament just to see it in action. Or maybe I'll just log in and create a tournament out here in Phoenix. But go ahead, share your final thoughts.
Yeah, I'd love it if you do that. And anyone else out there who's running a tournament, sign up and give it a try and let me know what you think. And if you have ideas, reach out. And, it's going back to something you said about COVID and running tournaments like in this era, it is completely different. And there's a lot more people streaming on their phones. And I'm kind of going down the direction to support that too. Like I've made friends with the guys at the Playing the Ghost group on Facebook. I think they have about 1,500 or 2,000 members that are playing like weekly virtual tournaments. Mm-hmm. With different divisions, and they're even like Fargo handicap. Some of them, there's like APA skill level handicaps where they play the ghosts and they have multiple rounds and they actually pay out like real money. So I've been working with them to come up with ideas like, how can we adapt some of the stuff I've built to help them like run those more efficiently? Because it is a lot of work for them right now. They use Excel spreadsheets and paper and they don't have an app. So I'm working with them to support like the virtual tournaments going forward. So I'm excited about that. And I'm just excited about, doing something I love, being part of the pool world and, being a player for a long time, but also a software developer, being able to like combine the two has really been a treat for me. And I've met a lot of great people, including Doc and Craig, and they've been like immensely helpful, providing ideas and feedback. And I'll continue helping them and anyone else out there who is passionate about this and loves pool and running events and leagues and all that. Definitely reach out. I'd love to talk to you and get to know you and see if there's something we could do together.